All right, it looks like we're live, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know if people can join early or if it will actually if it'll plop them in at 7.
I'm not sure.
All right, we'll give it a few minutes. Okay, it looks like people are starting to join. We're just going to give it another minute or two before we get started, just to make sure everyone has a chance to sign in. So we'll get started in about 2 more minutes. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and get started? Looks like we have a lot of people on the call, and I think people will probably be coming in a little bit late over the next few minutes, but let's go ahead and get started. So hi, everybody. Welcome to the third webinar in our Back to School series. Tonight we're going to be talking about CS2N, which stands for the Computer Science Student Network. We're going to be talking about the automated assessment tools in CS2N and how you can use those to make life a little easier on yourself. I'm Leanne Baronet, and I manage marketing for RoboMatter. And on the call with me tonight, we have Vu Nguyen, and Vu is the lead architect behind CS2N. He and his team manage the research that happens with CS2N, such as the badging system that's used with Robot Virtual Worlds. You're going to see a little bit of that tonight. We'll talk more about that for sure. We also have Robin Shoup on the line with us tonight. Robin is a lifelong teacher with over 30 years of classroom experience, and he's also the founder and director of Carnegie Mellon's Robotics Academy. So really glad to have those two with us tonight, and I think it'll be a good discussion about automated assessment tools. So before we get started, let me share my screen with you guys really quickly. Okay, so just a few things to share with you really quickly. First of all, everyone who attends tonight's live session has the chance to win a Robot Virtual Worlds license. So in order to be entered into the raffle, all you need to do is send us an email at socialmedia@robomatter.com. Be sure to include the subject CS2N is the best. And also don't forget to include your name and contact information. This is just for participants who attend the webinar live. So for those of you watching this recording at a later date, sorry, the contest has ended. So those of you who are on the call live with us tonight, please send us your email by 9 o'clock Eastern time tonight.
So they would have put that as the subject anyway, right, Leanne?
Of course, yes, absolutely. Okay, and then one other little logistical housekeeping item. If you guys have a question during tonight's webinar, there are two ways for you to ask questions. One, you can use the Q&A window that we've got going on in the Google Hangout, or you can also email your question to socialmedia@robomatter.com. We're going to save all of the questions until the end, but we will be sure to get to your question. Okay, so with that, Vu, let me give you the ability to present. And why don't we go ahead and get started talking about CS2N.
Sure.
So why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about it. So what is CS2N for people who aren't familiar with it?
Yeah, so CS2N is actually a site with lots of activities, lots of computer science related activities, and actually a good idea for me to do is actually bring it up on the screen to help me out here. So let me get that going here. So here's CS2N, and it does include a bunch of activities and courses that teachers can use to kind of track students' progress for things like Robot Virtual Worlds. So let me just kind of bring up the activities here, kind of our organization, our categories here. But you can track Robot Virtual Worlds, virtual competitions. So if I click on competitions, there's a bunch of virtual competitions here, and we kind of right now you see the VexIQ and the Vex Nothing But Net virtual competitions, which are great because you get to win actually seats to the world world competitions. And then we also have a bunch of programming courses as well. Not just programming, but just a bunch of courses on CS2N, which are the ones that you find here are free. And so we always encourage people to go through all of our courses and take a look at what we have and just try them out. You can use them in your classroom. Feel free to do that too. So, and also CS2N actually serves as our kind of our home for a lot of our research that we tend to do. If you look at the teachers, and if you look at there's a bunch of different areas that a teacher can go through to learn about CS2N, but one of the major parts of CS2N is the research. And so we have a bunch of studies going on, usually at a time, and once the research is done, we publish papers about our findings, and so we have a whole, if you look at this page, there's a whole lot of different papers that we've published so far. And also other interesting research that are related as well. And so we categorize our papers as teaching programming through robotics, badges and motivation and assessment, approaches in teaching mathematics, and so we have all sorts of types of research going on, and so. So there's a lot going on with CS2N, but hopefully we can walk through and help everyone understand what all you can get out of CS2N.
Yeah, that's great. So so let's start there. So what can teachers do with CS2N?
That's a great question. So one of the kind of the major things that you can do. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to log in. So when I log in, what happens is that you kind of get a personalized homepage where you get to see all of your. Can you see my kind of my cursor? Just making sure. Okay, great. So if you take a look at on the left, you'll see all of the groups that I'm a part of, and by groups I mean like a classroom, like a grouping. A classroom. So a set of your students can be a part of a group. And so that's what that section is about. You also have a personalized area for all of the badges that you've received. It does show our latest blogs, so you can keep up to date with all the new stuff going on. We also have kind of a featured area on the bottom left as well, and our partner pages. But back to what can you do? So with a group, I can go in and I can actually create a new group by clicking on create a new group. Yeah, well, I'll walk through this in more detail now, but I just kind of want to give an overview. And so what you can do is actually make a group and kind of administer, give out courses so that you can track student progress. And you can also do things, let's see if I have one here. I believe I should have a, well, it might be in the other one. So let me bring up another window here. Sorry, just give me just a second. I have another window that kind of shows competitions, I believe. Let me go back to my groups. And so you can actually track progress through competitions, like virtual competitions. For some reason, I'm not sure if I have one here. So you can keep like a virtual classroom competition with say all of the competitions we have in this area here. So this page shows the kind of the public competition. So you kind of going, you can submit for the public competition. Sorry, there's a loud noise going on right now. But you can also make a group and keep track of your students' progress for your own private competition. Okay. So yeah.
So Boo,
yeah.
If I were a teacher, the competitions that would be available to me right now would be what?
Oh yeah, great question. So the ones that would be available would be the ones that you find live here. So right now, there's the VEX IQ Bank Shot programming skills, which are all autonomous programming, and then there's the robot skills ones, which are the kind of like the remote control version of it. So there's the VEX IQ ones, and then there's the VEX Nothing But Net virtual competitions. So anyone that's any competitions that are live currently are the ones that you can have a virtual private competition.
So, for instance, I would not be able to use one of the archive competitions if I had one of the old Lego games.
Yeah, so we try to keep things pretty fresh, so keep things up to date. So whenever you go and make like a private competition, it's the ones that are currently kind of happening at the moment to keep it more exciting. So, okay. Great question. Yeah.
If I wanted to run this in my class, then would I set up a group?
Yeah.
How would I do that?
And that actually, why don't I do that right now? So what I can do is, make one for, I don't know, Nothing But Net group, and so, I'll make a name. I can put a description. This. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. For some reason it just said I was muted. But I set up a description, and then what I do is I select CS2N competitions. All right. By the way, I had all of these choices as far as what activities I can put in here. And so I chose CS2N competitions.
So for instance, and this is what I was trying to get to before, if I wanted to have a competition, but I just wanted to use one of the Robot Virtual World games,
yeah,
would I be able to do that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so when you create a group, you can add the competition, choose one of these, robot skills or programming skills. So I'm going to just choose one. And so I have now a group with the Nothing But Net programming skills. And so from here, what I do is I just invite my students to join this particular group. And by that, I mean you can give out this group code or share this group join link. And what that does is that allows them to get into this group, and they can kind of take part in this competition.
would they be able to use? Would they be able to take an Excel spreadsheet with all of their kids' names in it and just make a group that way for a competition?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of times you already have that roster kind of spreadsheet going on, and so you have a list of all your students. Well, one of the nice features that we have is to generate student accounts. And so what that does is it pre-makes, automatically makes the accounts for your students. And so let me click on Generate Student Accounts. And what you can do is you can select the spreadsheet file. And so in here, you select the spreadsheet file, but we give out kind of a template. And so if you click on here, it says Class Roster Template File. What I'll do is I'll save it. So it's saved to my computer. I can open it up. What it's going to do is it's going to open up, so give it just a minute. And I'll put in some kind of some fake names here just to show how it works. So just give me just a minute.
So that tutorial, it's right in where it says CS2N tutorial.
Absolutely.
If I click that, does it kind of give you a review of what you're doing right now?
Yeah, so that's one way that you can get to that video. So this, if you ever don't forget how to do this, you can always click on this video file or this video, and it'll pop up a video on how to do it. Another place that you can get to this tutorial, and hopefully I don't lose you guys here, but if you click on Teachers and then click on Groups, this actually talks all about groups and also has the videos kind of split up into two parts on how to do exactly what I'm about to show you. So don't worry about being able to follow along right now, but if you want to go back, you can always go here and look at the step-by-step instructions on how to do this, how to generate the accounts. So let me just go back to where I was. Okay, I'm going to, by the way, I clicked on Class Roster Template File, and that's the kind of the template spreadsheet. Okay, and so you can see here, it kind of shows an example of what one would look like. You want to make sure that you put in the unique identifier, your student ID for your school, because usually a school has an ID number for every student. So let me kind of say, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Last name is, I don't know. I'll keep Smith, and this will be John, male, and we can keep. The race column is optional, but it's up to you. But we can keep it whatever here. I'll make another one for.
Is the ID column also optional?
Yeah, so it's optional. However, the thing you have to kind of watch out for is that CS2N uses that, as well as the last name and first name, in order to kind of know that it doesn't need to make another account. And so if you, I highly advise putting in a student ID, because if you add the same people to another group, it won't create another account. It'll just add them in. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see. So
Yeah.
It's more an internal tracking mechanism so that you don't have duplicates.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Well, I do know from our research perspective that the data in here is disaggregated, and so we don't actually see an association between the data and the student.
Right. Yeah, so that's internal to try to make sure that we don't make a bunch of duplicate accounts. Okay. So
really, from a teacher's perspective, you wouldn't want 3 or 4 John Smiths.
Yeah, right. So and it, again, if you have duplicate accounts, then it's hard to know which one they should log in with, and we really want to make sure that everyone kind of keeps the same account throughout the whole use of the site. So. Great question. So I'm going to close this out. I'm just going to save it. And what I'm going to do is I can browse to that spreadsheet file that I just made. So let me save by create 3. I believe that was the one I just made. All right, and then what you can do is you can make a temporary password. So if I make something like password for that, make sure save the file is there. And if I click create account, what it does is it processes through. It says processing account is successful. It'll ask to save a file, and it did here in my other monitor. So I'm going to save that file. This is very important. So you want to save this file. And what that does is when you go back, you'll see that the two accounts are automatically added into my group. You see that? The file that came out is a spreadsheet file giving you their username that was created, the email address, and the password that was generated, the temporary one that you gave the accounts. And so what you need to do is you just need to give your students their username and their password. And what happens is the first time that they log on, it'll ask for them to change their password. And so it won't be that temporary password anymore. So that's pretty nice that you can just kind of generate student accounts through a spreadsheet file, and then they can go and set their passwords to whatever they need to.
But I think it's important to note that the teacher is in charge of this account, and if a student says that they lost their password, when something is sent back from CS2N, it goes to the teacher.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you take a look at the email address, you'll see that it's actually my email address plus their username. And what that does is when the student goes to kind of forget the password, it will email out to me, whoever created the student accounts, so that you get the email, and they don't need an email address if they don't have one.
I think that we probably made this look a lot more difficult than it actually is, unfortunately. From my perspective as a former teacher, being able to set up a class, you happen to be showing a competition, but being able to set up one of your classes and then using that badging system and being able to generate your own questions, having that automated assessment would have made it so convenient for me. At the time, I was teaching 120 kids a day, and having the grades coming to me as opposed to my having to go after them all the time really would have made it a whole lot easier.
Right, right. And like I said before, there's a whole bunch of different activities that you can add into your group. So say if I wanted to add another activity here, and say if I'm playing with Robot Virtual Worlds like Expedition Atlantis, I can add Expedition Atlantis to the same group, and these guys, Patty and John, when they go and sign on, you can keep track of their progress throughout Expedition Atlantis. If you click on member progress, you see that, just like Robin was speaking of, being able to kind of track as they go. You can do that pretty easily here with any course or activity.
Can you show me where you did that again?
Yeah, sure. So say if I wanted to first add another activity. So if I wanted to add VexIQ Basic Movement, the course, which is one of our available courses, I can add that here. And if you look at, there's a link called Member Progress for each of the activities. You see that? Member Progress, Member Progress. So for each of those, you can click on Member Progress, and it will show the kind of what we call the mapped badge pathway for each of these activities or courses.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so you can look at all of the badges that are kind of tracked throughout the course. These are RVW, Robot Virtual Worlds, I call it RVW. Robot Virtual Worlds badges. These are quiz scores, and there's also an exam and kind of a completion badge at the end as well. So you can see.
So, Lou, this must really be expensive.
But,
how much is it?
It's actually it's really low price of nothing, and so that's pretty nice. You know, a lot of this is if you go on and make a group, you can look at all the activities that are available and just put them in, and it's free.
Yep,
So
so for full disclosure, what we're trying to do is we're using this data aggregator to collect student progress, and this allows us to conduct some of the research that we're doing. And so currently, because it's funded through our research projects, it is free. And it'll certainly be free all of this year.
yeah, great. So so I just kind of went over kind of the activities that you can add to a group. You know, how you can create a group, how you can generate student accounts, and again, that tutorial can be found in the teachers groups area. You know, to create a group as well as generating student accounts.
So I just kind of want to review this. So what you can do on CS2N is you can set up your own classes, and that can either be for a competition if you were to have an internal competition in your classroom. That could also be for an activity. For instance, if you were using one of those games, like the Expedition Atlantis game, you could actually track students' progress with that. Are you able to show where we are going with achievements and our badge system?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So just to kind of take a step back, so what we've done for many years is we tie into activities like Robot Virtual Worlds to kind of keep track of progress throughout different worlds. And so you can look at some of the badges that I have on this account, and you can see all the different activities on the left here.
Slacker, I don't see a whole lot of stuff down.
Yeah, with this account, and so there's a look. So it says there are 468 available achievements.
And you got 26 of them.
And I only have 26. I'm slacking here, so. But yeah, so we've done this for quite a while. It's just what Robot Virtual Worlds does is when you get a badge, it kind of keeps track of it so that when you log off and log back on in Robot Virtual Worlds, you can just continue on where you left off. You know, all great. You know, we've been doing that for a while. It's been working great. Now, kind of the next step for us. Because that was actually part of a research project to see the motivational effects of badges, you know, to see if that helped with motivation. Well, the next step of that, or the next layer that we're trying to build on with achievements, is what's called skills. Okay, and what do I mean by that? Well, for different skills, we want to see, or we want to attach. For different badges, we want to attach different skills to it. So let's say, you know, let's see if I have one that I can point out. Sensabot. Okay, so Sensabot programmer, that badge. We attach skill credits to each badge, to particular badges, because we're still testing that out. To say, hey, if I get the Sensabot programmer badge, then that gives me +2 in sequences and +2 in Robot C graphical programming. Okay, so what we're starting to do is we're starting to build skills that users, that students get if they get certain badges, and so it can be +2 in this, +5 in that.
So I think where we're going with this is we know those badges are ubiquitous. You get badges in lots of different things. What we're really interested in doing is understanding if the larger badges actually equate to whatever knowledge set that the student is supposed to have. And so and we happen to be looking at programming right here, sequencing, conditional statement structures are all skills. And what we've done is we've mapped the smaller badges, which are ubiquitous, to specific skills, and if you get enough of those skills, then that's a good indicator that you actually know that particular concept. And so that's what you're showing us here.
Right. Yeah. So if you go on any one of the skills, you can see kind of where you're at with it. And if you haven't gotten enough to get a bronze, you'll see this kind of non-colored version. But in this particular one, I managed to get the bronze level, and you can see how you get to the different levels by going to the evidence area. And so for a certain number of badges, it'll give you a certain number of experience points. Okay. You can also upload kind of an artifact or an example of a piece of evidence of why you're good with sequences.
And so, for instance, that computational artifact is something that you've done, so that if you decide to share that badge, there's some evidence there that shows that you really don't know what you're talking about.
Right. So if little Johnny says, "Hey, I'm really good at sequential programming," then he can attach some C code to prove it. And once we're able to share it out with with anyone Johnny's friends, he can show them, "Hey, yeah, this is my proof that I can do this, that I have skills in this area." So. All right. Another piece of evidence is the endorsement. So teachers can endorse, or teachers or administrators can endorse you for a particular skill. You can't self-endorse, unfortunately. And the last piece of evidence is an exam. And so you can look at all the different exams that qualify for this particular skill. And you get a bronze if you get 70 or higher. And you get a gold if you get a 90 or higher.
Okay. 70 or 90 are just percentages?
Yeah, those are just percentages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can take...
Is anyone, you have the endorsement there.
Yeah.
If I were a teacher, is anyone able to endorse?
Yeah, so if you're part of a group, your teacher is able to endorse you for this skill.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I do know that what you're showing right now, we are currently developing.
Yes, yes.
So what is nice, though, is you've developed this system. So Vu and Mindy and Ross and Chris, who are developing this system, when they do make changes, everything is backward compatible.
Right. So if we add, say, different skill points for badges that you've already earned, we can kind of retroactively award you those skill badges. So yeah.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Great. I believe that, yeah. So if you click around on the skills area, you can kind of see, how you get to a certain level. So just kind of click around and take a look at where you are. If you happen to have gotten bronze in certain skills and whatnot. Again, if you've already gone through a lot of these activities, you may already have a lot of these skill credits. So take a look around.
Leanne, has anyone asked any questions?
Yes, we have had a few questions come in. So Vu, we do have a few questions around creating student accounts. Okay. One question says, I'm a teacher on CS2N and can make groups but don't see the Generate Student Accounts button. Oh, so could you maybe walk us through that process again?
Yeah, that's actually intended. And so the special kind of, where is it? Go into your group. This Generate Student Accounts option is only for specific research accounts. And so I can mark you as a special research account. So what you do is just click on the feedback tab, and what will happen is it'll take you to the contact. So just send me a message. It'll send us a message. Let us know your organization, what you're planning, what activity you're planning on using it for, and how long you're planning on using it for, and I'd be happy to enable that feature for you.
Can you show them one more time where that feedback tab is?
Yeah, sure. So if I'm anywhere on the site, if you click on the very left, you see where it says feedback. Click on that. It'll take you to the Contact Us area, and just send us a message and let us know that that's what you want to do. Okay.
And to be clear, any of the data that's there, because this is a research project, is all disaggregated, that meaning the student's name and the data are separated. That's a requirement of any college-level research project. So you don't have to worry about anybody ever taking that data and putting it together and say, oh, Johnny and Mrs. Jerry's class isn't doing well. Because we don't care about that.
Yes. Yep. Great question.
Okay, so another question that came in, what's the difference between the videos and quizzes on CS2N and the training videos available on the RobotC website?
Oh, perfect. Okay, so with CS2N itself, so if you, I'm going to click on one of my courses. So let's say I have my, I don't know, my EV3 online course. Actually, that may not be a good one. I'll go back here. So I'm going to go in my VexIQ Basic Movement course. Okay. What this does is it'll bring up our CS2N Learn area, our course, or kind of our learning management system. And what it does is it kind of lists the course out in kind of a course materials layout, like a learning management layout. And so the difference between this and, say, the robotc.net version, so I'm going to go into, all right, give it a little more room here. Okay. And so if you click on, say, Vex Cortex Video Trainer, so let me go back. I just did that, and so it's bugging me for my. Okay, here we go. So if you click on one of these sections, this is more like a video trainer, or and so it's a little different than laying it out on a course management system, because what we're doing is in CS2N we're keeping track of the progress as you're going through, say, activities or quizzes. Versus if you use the video trainer yourself, that's separate from CS2N, and so it doesn't have that that CS2N tracking.
But is there a direct link between the activities that are shown in this curriculum and the map badge pathway that's up at the top of CS2N that the teacher's going to see? So if you go back one level.
Yeah.
And take a look at member progress.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so
these are the same activities that you find in that on that RobotC site. The videos are not inside CS2N, and a lot of that is because of expense. The more data that you're pulling from that site, the more CS2N costs us. And so we've decided to separate the product from the actual research.
Okay, so I think that maybe just answered another question that came in: is do we have any plans to eventually allow people to track the progress for, say, for example, the Introduction to Programming EV3 RobotC curriculum? And it seems like, Robin, the answer is probably not.
Isn't that already there, Drew?
Well, so if you think about, if you look at, say, the VexIQ graphical, I'm going to click on that since it's more relevant. But if you look at the VexIQ graphical one, all of the virtual worlds that are part of the actual VexIQ curriculum here are the same badges that you see, say, in here. So these are the Expedition Atlantis, so I'm going to go back to here, and you see Expedition Atlantis. And so those badges that you do in the virtual worlds part of the curriculum are all part of CS2N's map badge pathway. You see that?
Right. So if we just stay on this for a second with this basic movement as we slide across to the right, those activities are the same activities if you go back and look at VexIQ Basic Movement, the curriculum. Yep, they're the exact same activities.
Yep.
And then if you wanted to go to the next level of the curriculum in your map badge pathway, what you would do is you would go ahead out, and then you would add an activity, and you would go to sensors, for instance.
Yeah, so you'll see sensors once you add in that portion of the curriculum. You can look at the progress for that portion for sensors. See that?
Right. And I think the question was, and I don't know the answer to this, Boo, are all of the courses, the Lego courses and the VEX courses, there's a Lego EV3, a Lego Robot C, a VEX IQ, and a VEX Cortex. Do they all have these map badge pathways?
So we provide the VEX IQ one for publicly available for free. The other ones, we allow teachers who go through our Robotics Academy certified training to use.
As a certified trainer, you get access to that.
Yeah, so you have to be a certified trainer to do that for the other courses.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
So, yeah, okay. Just a few more. One question, how can I join the research projects?
That's a really good question. So a lot of our research, if you go to teachers again and go to research, some of our studies are ongoing. And so say if you want to go on the CCRC one, they'll have a section to join research. And so if you click that, put in your information and subscribe, it'll let us know. It puts you on our list so that we can know that you want to be a part of it. Okay? And if you ever want or are curious about any sort of research going on, you can always contact us by clicking on the feedback page, and we'll be happy to let you know.
Okay, great. Just two more questions. If anyone has any other questions, get them in. But we've got two more on the list right now. One, I'm not a school. I homeschool. Can I still use CS2N?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if anyone who's on the site can use it, if it's a homeschool, if it's a after-school program.
Yeah, informal education, robot competition teams, doesn't matter. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts.
Yeah. So anyone, it's free. It's out there. Take a look at the courses and feel free to use it. Obviously we want everyone to use it. So.
Yeah. Okay, great. And then one last question. How long do I have access to CS2N?
Yeah, for as long as we can keep CS2N alive.
Well, certainly through there's absolutely no reason you wouldn't have it through June of 2016.
Yeah. Yep.
And so our research is funded year to year to year. And so if you're concerned about it being shut off at Christmas or something like that, you don't have to worry about that.
Yep.
There'll be no changes until the end of June 2016.
Okay, very good. All right, so it looks like we answered all the questions. We don't have any more coming in at this time, so I guess that's it for tonight. Robin and Vu, thank you very much for your time. This was a great session, really helpful. Those of you who have sent me an email saying CS2N is the best, thanks. You'll be entered into the raffle for the Robot Virtual Worlds license. If you haven't sent an email yet, be sure to do that by 9 o'clock Eastern time tonight, so get that in within the next hour and a half or so. So that's it. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
You see that white robot behind Vu?
Yes, I do.
We should make that a prize. That's been sitting there for years.
But that's it's my paperweight.
I thought it was like a copy machine or a fax machine or something.
No, that's a robot.
I don't know. Does anybody want that?
I'm sure they would.
Okay, we'll consider that. We'll consider that for the next webinar.
Maybe you can make that a prize. Okay, well, thank you. Thanks for setting us up, Leanne.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was a great session. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you in the next session in October.
And
bye, everyone.
Who get on those badges?
I will.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.